Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
Luther Stickles' final message to Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning stands as one of the most emotionally resonant moments in the entire franchise. This posthumous communication, delivered after Luther's heroic sacrifice to save London from a nuclear device, serves as both a poignant farewell to a beloved character and a philosophical capstone to the series' themes. The message acts as a bridge between Luther's physical presence in the film and his enduring influence on Ethan's journey, providing emotional closure while reinforcing the franchise's core values. The setup for Luther's final message begins early in the film when he leaves a recording device with Ethan, telling him, "I left you a message there for when this is over." This foreshadowing creates anticipation for the eventual revelation of the message's contents, but also suggests Luther's awareness that he might not survive the mission. When Ethan finally listens to the message after successfully containing the entity, the audience experiences the emotional impact alongside him, hearing Luther's voice once more after witnessing his sacrifice. The message begins with Luther's quiet confidence in Ethan's success. "If you're listening to this, the world is still here. And so are you." This simple opening encapsulates their decades-long friendship. Luther's unwavering faith in Ethan's abilities, even in the face of seemingly impossible odds. When he continues, "For the record, I never had a moment of doubt. I knew you'd find a way. You always do." He reinforces one of the franchise's central motifs: Ethan's extraordinary capacity to achieve the impossible through ingenuity and determination. What makes the message particularly meaningful is how it transitions from personal affirmation to philosophical reflection. Luther moves beyond simply expressing confidence in Ethan to offering perspective on their shared journey and the meaning behind their work as IMF agents. This elevation from the personal to the universal gives the message a quality of wisdom. Luther is passing on not just emotional support, but life lessons learned through decades of service. The message's philosophical core begins with Luther's reflection on fate and choice. "I hope with time you can see this life wasn't a whim of fate. This was your calling, your destiny." Here, Luther acknowledges the seemingly random events that brought Ethan into the IMF, referenced earlier in the film, when President Sloan mentions that circumstances brought you to us, and the IMF saved you from a life in prison. Yet he reframes this apparent randomness as something meaningful, a calling rather than mere chance. Luther then delivers what might be the message's most significant line: "Nothing is written." This simple statement directly challenges the entity's deterministic worldview. Throughout the film, the entity tells Ethan that his actions are written or predetermined, that he has no choice but to follow the path that is calculated. Luther's assertion that nothing is written offers a powerful counterargument, affirming human free will and agency in the face of technological determinism. This theme is expanded when Luther states, "Our lives are the sum of our choices." This perspective places responsibility and possibility back in human hands, suggesting that while circumstances may constrain us, we retain the capacity to make meaningful choices within those constraints. This philosophical position aligns with the franchise's consistent emphasis on personal choice over system-level constraints. Ethan repeatedly chooses to save individual lives, even when doing so appears to jeopardize broader mission objectives. Luther continues with a reflection on their shared purpose, and our cause, however, just pales in comparison to our effect. This nuanced statement acknowledges that intentions, our cause, matter less than outcomes, our effect. This introduces an element of consequentialism to their moral framework, suggesting that good intentions alone are insufficient if they lead to harmful results. Yet unlike a pure consequentialist view, Luther isn't suggesting that ends justify means. Rather, he's emphasizing that the IMF's abstract mission of protecting democracy matters less than the concrete human lives they save. This theme is further developed when Luther says, "All hope for a better future comes from wishing that future into being." This line connects back to the nothing is written concept, suggesting that the future remains unformed, a potential to be shaped through human will and action rather than a predetermined outcome. The reference to wishing might seem sentimental, but in context it speaks to the power of vision and imagination in creating change. Before we can build a better world, we must first be able to imagine it. Luther then elaborates on what such a better future might entail. A future like that is built on kindness, trust, and mutual understanding. This trinity of values offers a stark contrast to the entity's approach, which is built on manipulation, paranoia, and exploitation of misunderstanding. Luther is suggesting that the technical challenges Ethan faces, neutralizing the entity, are ultimately in service of preserving these fundamentally human qualities, kindness, trust, and understanding, that make life meaningful. The message then returns to the personal with Luther's emotional farewell. I hope you know I'll always love you, brother. And I'll see you again, though I hope not too soon. The world still needs you. This poignant expression of brotherly love acknowledges the deep bond between the two men while recognizing that Ethan's work isn't finished. The suggestion that they'll see each other again hints at an afterlife or continuation beyond physical existence, offering a spiritual dimension rarely explored in the franchise. Finally, the message concludes with the classic Mission Impossible line. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. This signature phrase creates a bittersweet moment of levity, a callback to the franchise's recurring motif that serves both as a nostalgic nod and a reminder of the clandestine nature of their work. It reinforces that even in death, Luther remains true to the protocols and traditions of the IMF. What makes Luther's final message particularly effective is how it's delivered by Ving Rhames. His deep, resonant voice carries both authority and warmth, conveying philosophical weight without sounding pretentious. The slight pauses and subtle inflections suggest a man carefully choosing his words, aware that this might be his final communication with his closest friend. It's a masterclass in voice acting that conveys decades of shared history without explicitly referencing specific past missions. The visual presentation of the scene enhances its emotional impact. We see Ethan alone, listening intently, the play of emotions across his face revealing the depth of his connection to Luther. The camera work is restrained, allowing Tom Cruise's performance to convey the weight of the moment. This quiet, intimate scene contrasts powerfully with the spectacular action sequences that define much of the film, creating space for emotional processing after the high-stakes climax. The timing of the message within the narrative structure is equally important. It comes after the immediate threat has been neutralized, but before the team's final reunion in London, serving as a moment of reflection between crisis and resolution. This placement allows Luther's words to inform how we interpret the film's conclusion. His philosophy becomes a lens through which we view Ethan's ultimate triumph and the team's bittersweet separation. From a character development perspective, Luther's final message represents the culmination of his journey across 8 films. From his introduction as a disgraced former IMF agent in the first Mission Impossible to his evolution into Ethan's most trusted confidant, Luther has grown from a technically skilled loner to the moral center of the team. His final message distills the wisdom gained through this journey, passing on lessons learned through decades of Secret Service. The message also serves important narrative functions beyond character development. It provides emotional closure for Luther's death, allowing audiences to process this significant loss. It offers thematic coherence, tying together philosophical threads from throughout the film and the broader franchise. And it creates a symbolic torch-passing moment, with Luther entrusting Ethan to continue their shared mission even in his absence. The reference to their IMF oath, living and dying in the shadows for those close to us and for those we never know, connects Luther's sacrifice to the film's opening sequence, creating narrative symmetry. This reminds viewers that Luther died as he lived, in service to others, many of whom will never know his name or the sacrifice he made for them. It's a bittersweet reminder of the anonymous nature of their heroism, suggesting that true heroism often goes unrecognized. From a philosophical perspective, Luther's message offers a nuanced view on determinism versus free will, a central theme in the film's exploration of artificial intelligence. While the entity represents algorithmic determinism, the belief that with sufficient data, all human behavior becomes predictable, Luther champions human agency and the unpredictability of choice. His assertion that nothing is written directly challenges the entity's claim to have predicted Ethan's actions, suggesting that genuine human choice remains beyond computational prediction. This philosophical stance has particular relevance in our contemporary moment, as real-world discussions about artificial intelligence often center on questions of human uniqueness and agency in an increasingly automated world. Luther's message suggests that what makes humans distinctive isn't our intelligence or capabilities, which machines might eventually match or exceed, but our capacity for moral choice, emotional connection, and finding meaning in the face of uncertainty. The message also touches on themes of legacy and influence beyond physical presence. Though Luther is physically gone, his wisdom continues to guide Ethan. This suggests that our impact extends beyond our lifespan through the lives we touch and the values we impart to others. In a franchise centered on spectacular physical action, this acknowledgement of intellectual and emotional legacy provides a more nuanced view of heroism and influence. The final line about the message self-destructing serves as a poignant metaphor for impermanence. Despite the profound wisdom contained in Luther's words, the physical record will disappear, just as Luther himself has. Yet the impact of both the message and the man will endure through their effect on Ethan and, by extension, the world he continues to protect. This tension between physical impermanence and lasting influence creates a bittersweetness that deepens the emotional resonance of the scene. Luther's final message ultimately serves as the emotional and philosophical heart of Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. It provides closure not just for Luther's character arc, but for the themes that have defined the franchise since its inception. His words offer wisdom not just for Ethan, but for viewers contemplating their own agency in an increasingly technological world. In affirming that nothing is written and that our lives are the sum of our choices, Luther leaves behind a legacy of hope and human possibility in the face of seemingly deterministic systems, a fitting final contribution from one of the franchise's most beloved characters.